Hi and welcome to this audio Grail Garrard 401 restoration overview. We get asked by lots of the clients who come to us when they want to purchase their own 401 and then potentially bring it to us for servicing. They've been asking for some tips on what can and can't be achieved within a reasonable budget. So in order to sort of address this, we've actually purchased a unit from eBay. This is the worst example we could possibly find. It was very inexpensive to purchase, and perhaps some of the reasons why are instantly evident. So let's just start at the bottom right hand corner here with the faceplate. This is a two-part fascia, Garrard 401. There's corrosion in here which I doubt very much. I mean, I can pick the paint from this. Is going to restore very well. The actual lettering is rusting, so even if we were to acid strip this and paint the back plate and recoat it, it's very rough here. It's going to need a lot of treatment. Looking down now on the front rim, we're down to the bare aluminium casting here. The paint's completely given up the ghost. I can pick this off with my finger. To make matters worse, it's actually oxidized. This would require a great deal of work in addition to just stripping, and you can see here the thickness of the paint. I'm just picking this off with my thumb and it's coming away with great ease, and alarming ease really. Moving into the switching area, extreme rust and corrosion here. This whole faceplate's completely kaput, and the entire chassis body, in actual fact, I mean, huge pieces of paint coming off now. Moving into the stroboscopic disc, and this really is just a cosmetic view of this particular unit. The corrosion in there is severe, and we've seen lots of units that have been stored in lofts. We've seen units that people have purchased that have been bought in barns. I'm not quite sure where this particular unit's been stored, but it was clearly extremely damp and for a prolonged period of time. Now we're going to have a look here at the spindle. That is completely corroded and pitted. See, there's no smooth outer. This is completely shot. The centre disc, rather handily, is removable. In this case, should be glued down, but again, there's no way to save the centre disc on that. And let's see if we can remove the platter now. Okay, there's a better shot of the spindle. This is hardened steel, which has been super polished, and the top has obviously been exposed to moisture for a great deal of time. If we were to try and grind that, clearly the record would no longer be a fit to the spindle. So in my opinion, this spindle is so far corroded that you can't really restore that, and they're extremely expensive things to make. This is a 4-degree angle that corresponds with the bush of the platter, and it's really critical in order for the platter to spin and run true. Any movement in that, of course, will create noise and all sorts of difficulties. I can actually move the spindle here with my fingers, which gives me a sense that there's bearing wear. Clearly the felt pad, which is the oil reservoir, has been removed at some point, so no oil whatsoever has been fed to the top bush for as long as that's been missing or unlubricated. It really does rock. Okay, moving across now to the idler wheel. Critical points here are the bushes top and bottom, to save it from rocking. I'm not sure if that's audible, but it's really rocking in the bearings there. I'd say those would certainly need to be replaced. Looking across here, I can see there's a difficulty also with the brake in some form. And indeed the speed disc is buckled or there's some sort of rough point on it which tells me that there's going to be work required there. I can hear it ringing on the magnet. Further corrosion here to the brake. Really, the top side is just in absolutely awful condition. Serial number is 07673. Let's turn her over and see what's on the underside of this. Okay. Well, initially you'd think that the corrosion has escaped, but there's a great deal of rusting on the outer casing. Now, that's always a worry, because what that means is moisture's gone to the motor, and of course if there's moisture in the motor then there can be internal problems. I'm also looking at the electrical points here, and again there's rusting and corrosion, which tells me that there's been moisture going into the strobe, which again is a big problem, and the corrosion continues underneath unabated. Looking to the top here, to the power connector, I can see that these cables here have also been exposed to moisture, so again potential problems in there. The rubber idler housing grommets are completely shot and dry. Further corrosion evidence where water has seeped through the top end here, in fact in all the corners of this unit. So this is the overview of this particular unit. If we'd been sent this by a client, I would suggest to them that it would be a false economy in many respects to try and restore this unit. There would just be so much work involved to try and get this back as close as possible to the standard in which it left the factory. In contrast, if we move across here, we can see a rather lovely condition, original condition, Garrard 401. And with this particular unit, the paint finish is all original, as is the strobe, as is the centre disc, which has the spin finishing, so often featuring dents and scratches. You'll notice the spindle here doesn't quite have the same beauty as the one that we just previously looked at, and I am being sarcastic of course, because that is absolutely perfect as opposed to the monstrosity on the beast to my left. Now I just removed the platter from this particular unit. We can now note the replacement idler bushes. There is absolutely no play in that. We've not replated the cadmium on this particular unit. It was absolutely in mint condition. We have, however, replaced the brake pad, the idler wheel, and you can see the speed disc here, absolutely faultless. No difficulties with the brake. This is serial number 22466. Two-part fascia with the flush strobe with the serrated lens on this particular one. Pretty much a mid-production 401, but in very nice cosmetic condition. But the cosmetic condition also bears some reflection on the mechanical condition, because as we look here to the spindle, there is absolutely no play in that whatsoever in any axis that I can achieve. Very smooth. And if we were to have a look on the underside, we should be able to note no corrosion around the motor casing, no difficulties with moisture, in any of the electrical contact points, which often raise alarm bells. And we'll continue through with a mechanical overview of the previous unit we were observing, and I will take some measurements to show some of the wear that's been done with play in addition to the corrosion, which I think will suggest that it's potentially a parts unit at best. So if you're thinking of buying a Garrard 401, some of the points to look for, if we go back to the original rather sad unit over here, some of the points to be looking for be corrosion, or in this case corrosion to the springs, but also the dryness of the supports and indeed the rubber dampeners here. We'll be looking over in here in this area to the idler housing grommets to check what condition they're in, and I'm afraid they're very dry and brittle in this case. Most importantly, check for ply here in the spindle. Really move it about. You can feel this rocking. That means good new bushes at the very minimum, through to potentially, in this case because of corrosion, a new spindle. And just new bushes alone, you know, if you can find someone who's able to do that job for you, I would suggest that's looking at least £100, and I can imagine, well, to faithfully recreate the spindle would be a very expensive task indeed. Idler housing grommets, as I said, we're dry on this one, but also the bushes, this is rocking, you can hear it rattling about there. Looking down at the speed disc, listening for the ringing, which of course is a telltale sign that something is rubbing on the magnet here, which means that the disc or the magnet have some difficulties to be observed. And of course that's before we even get into opening the motor or looking at the costs here involved in cosmetically stripping and refinishing the chassis and the platter, replacing the faceplate, the inserts, the knobs, the controls, the linkages in lots of respects. So hopefully for the second film we'll actually be looking at some of the mechanical components in more depth, and we'll be able to observe the differences between a poor condition unit and indeed something which is worth servicing and enjoying. Many thanks for watching.